Well, welcome back into the cottage garden here at Gardeners Cottage in Blakeney, and we're going to catch up on what's come on in the garden over the last 7 days, starting with this rather splendid rosemary bush that we've got between the kitchen patio windows, really in full flower now. Beautiful scent off these, really attracting some of the early insects pollinating these flowers. We've seeded honesty into these borders over the last few years and were rewarded every spring by these beautiful mauve flowers on these upright spikes, rather like a flowering mauve version of the yellow rapeseed that you see right across the country at this time of year coming into blossom. Always reminds me of that, these flowers, and the way it's held. Beautiful little biennial. Amalankia, which was flowering so beautifully last week, still little bits on the more sheltered aspect, but now starting to come out into leaf. The weeping pear or flowering pear now in full blossom. Beautiful little dark stamens held on these pure white flowers. The bank at the back of the garden, it's always left to seed naturally and comes up with this lush green combination of borage, good King Henry, last of the daffodils just fading, beautiful sunlight just trickling through the tree canopy, lifting the colours in this border. It's very tranquil planting, this combination of this white and blue borage that just seeds itself around. Comes into flower beautifully at this time of year. Got one Weimaraner with us this afternoon who's about to go for her first agility lesson. It's going to be interesting. We gave the fig tree on the back of the cottage a really good haircut this spring, starting to outgrow the space and narrow the passageway. Cut down a bit of the light going in through the French windows on the back of the cottage. I'll be none the worse for wear, although I will have reduced the fig crop this year, I'm afraid. Fresh young growth coming out on these little rose bushes. Really a good sign of what's to come over the next few months when these come back into flower. Lovely bit of colour in them as well. I do love the red tips that you get on this emerging rose foliage. Really worth noting. On a good variety it can be a spectacle in its own right. The spring bulbs are almost completely finished now, just the greens to be left and fed as they replenish the bulbs for next year. And this sunny little patio is really starting to come into its own. Even on windy days like this down on the front it will be quite fresh, but up here in this partly walled garden you get all the benefit of that sunshine with some protection from the wind, which is a lovely feature. And greeting guests as they arrive to the cottage is the mature crabapple, absolutely covered in bud, which is now just starting to break. Beautiful pink buds opening to this pale white apple blossom. Absolutely wonderful. And still to come on, but not too long to wait now. This little rose that covers the front of the cottage. Going to be a spectacular small flowered yellow Banksii lutea. Absolutely gorgeous tree. Extends. It's a very vigorous rose, this. Furthest tips of this rose making their way right the way along to the front porch, probably a good 40 foot away from the rose root. And the little area which was cleared earlier last year of all the dense ivy canopy is now really benefiting from some light hitting the floor. Got Vinca major spreading itself out, more honesty seeded in, and there's a mass of hollyhock, valerian, all sorts of other bits and bobs in here which will keep the interest going throughout the season, we hope.